Hello and welcome back to 100 Yards of Football Sports Talk Radio. I'm your producer, Jeremiah Long, and joining me to talk about Max Mitchell, the Louisiana Lafayette Raging Cajun himself, and our NFL Draft Prospect Special is our host, Mr. Logan Landers. How's it going, man?
What's up, Jeremiah? Talking some Raging Cajun football today out the Sun Belt Conference is going to be a great show. I can't wait to talk more about the big man, the 6'6", 300-pounder on the O-line, and see where he might go in the NFL draft in April, man. I'm excited.
Absolutely. And for all of our Raging Cajuns watching or anybody who loves NFL draft prospects, we are so excited to be here with you. And all of the shares you've been doing, telling your friends and family by word of mouth about our show, just walking up to them being like, hey, you've been listening to 100 Yards of Football? Or, hey, you've been watching that show, 100 Yards of Football? And just start it off right like that. It's a great icebreaker. All of the times you guys have been doing that have been helping us to grow exponentially. We have over 700 podcast episodes, over 1,000 episodes of our live show, and we could not do it without you. So thank you so much for watching every single week. We will continue to bring you the best coverage that we know how to for all the draft prospects, to all the team plays, to all the games, interviews with legendary players, and more. So, Mr. Logan Landers, it is time. Tell us, Max Mitchell from Louisiana Lafayette, the Raging Cajun, what do we have to look forward to from this young man?
We are talking about a large man, like I mentioned. 6'6", 300 is the height and weight. Good size on the young man. Came out of Neville High School, went to Louisiana, going to the Raging Cajuns, put in some good work there. Played in a ton of games. And when I say that, Jeremiah, he started in 13 games in 2021 and 37 in total over 3 years. So the man has played a lot of football. He's been healthy a lot, and he has done a lot of work on the offensive line. He got rewarded for it this past offseason, right? And getting on the AP third team for offensive linemen. So a big work for him there. Good shout out. But he did some great work before 2021. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. So he came in to Louisiana, right, in 2018. And, he put in a ton of hard work for the Raging Cajuns, right? His freshman season, he rotated on the O-line in 14 games. So that means they put a lot of trust in him in just his first year as a freshman. Sometimes we don't see that. Some guys sit their freshman year, but not with Max Mitchell. He got on the field, and he put his draft stock even higher already in his first season. But the thing about Louisiana is they had a tremendous running attack throughout his entire tenure. In 2018, his freshman year, they averaged 218 rushing yards per game, a 5.5 average. Pretty solid, right? Not too bad. Then you go into 2019, his sophomore season. Yet again, played in a ton of games there. They went 11-3 in the Sun Belt Conference. They averaged 257 yards per game and a 6.3 average, led with Max Mitchell. In 2020, we all know the crazy year that was with the COVID-shortened season. Louisiana still had a great year, finished 10-1. They averaged 213 rushing yards per game with a 5.5 average. And then this past season, 2021, 13-1 was the record for Louisiana. A very good season. 194 yards rushing per game, so a little bit down, a 4.8 average. But nonetheless, though, when you look at all four of those years combined, you see that dominant rushing attack was led by guys like Max Mitchell here on the O-line, making those amazing gaps and holes for his running backs to go through. And he's not just good in run blocking. He's great in pass protection also. He was part of an offensive line in 2020 that allowed barely a sack per game. So they were not letting the opposing defenders get to the quarterback. Louisiana was putting in some work. There's a reason when I read off those records, you didn't see many losses throughout most of those years. And that is because of dominant O-line play in the Sun Belt Conference. This guy is a special talent, right? He's 6'6", 300 pounds, someone that's a great height, great weight for someone his size. He doesn't have to worry too much about beefing up or anything on the O-line. He's already got plenty of that. And the crazy thing is coming, from high school, he didn't really get much looks in terms of where he was going to go for college. And then he ended up going to Louisiana, went there for his entire tenure. He's coming out now, he's foregoing his senior season. And I think now is the perfect time for him to really put in some work in the NFL. He barely got flagged throughout his college tenure, right? Maybe a holding here or there, but he was pretty clean as an offensive tackle, honestly. And like I said, in 2021, he played in 14 games, 879 total snaps at right tackle. That's usually where he's going to be. He did allow 3 sacks and 13 pressures, though, but he had 0 holding penalties. So that lets you know that he was very solid this season. He can always work a little bit more, like I said, on the pressures and the sacks, of course. That's just facing good opponents. But that means that he's going to be a very good player. You're not going to have to worry about him getting in much penalty trouble there. And like I say, he's got the good frame already. He's got 34-inch arms, which is very good. A very athletic guy. Some people say he moves like a tight end. And if you're watching us live, right, on Facebook and YouTube, you can see on the screen, he's a lean 300 pounds, right? That's why people say he looks like a tight end, because he has just a nice frame to him. One of the best run blockers in this upcoming draft, I believe. And he's excellent when it comes to getting some space. He's not going to let the opposing defender get anywhere near the quarterback or the runner if he gets a little bit of space on him. He's got good body control. He's very athletic for his size. He explodes off the snap. He's a very hard worker. You're not going to see him take off any plays. And he is an exceptional talent when it comes to his hand placement, his foot movement, his technique. He's got good strength. He's a smooth player. And he's versatile too. Like I say, he mostly played right tackle, but he can even play left tackle too in the pros. You never know. So my final thoughts, man, this dude is, I think, kind of slept on. And just because he was at a smaller school with Louisiana Lafayette, with the Raging Cajuns, and, some people say, it's like, oh, he played in the Sun Belt. They're not going to have the best competition, yada, yada, yada. But look, it don't matter where you play at, right? We've seen guys come from smaller schools before Louisiana Lafayette have Hall of Fame careers in the NFL. And I think that if you just look at the film, if you look at the tape, and you see that Max Mitchell has these amazing athletic abilities, right? He's quick. He's got good skill set. And I think with just, like I said, a little bit of seasoning, a little bit of time in the NFL, because it's going to be a very different world from Louisiana Lafayette to the NFL. I think that give him a season or two maybe to just kind of get used to everything, and you will get a solid offensive tackle, a solid offensive lineman for many years to come, maybe a couple of Pro Bowls down the line maybe. I got some high hopes for this kid, and I think that Max Mitchell is going to do fantastic in the NFL. I can't wait to see how he does in the Combine too, which is coming up this week. It's currently February 28th when we're filming this, so the Combine is, I believe, March 1st, so we will see how it goes, and we'll see what Max Mitchell can do in the Combine, man. It's going to be some good numbers, I think, and he's going to make that draft stock go up even higher.
Absolutely. Yeah. And, that's another thing that we haven't got to touch on too much because of, last week it was pretty far away last week, and now it's right on top of us. That Combine, how quickly do we get to move into the next great phase of football after the Super Bowl? That's one great thing about football, is there's always something to look forward to in each part of the season. And, the Combine was not what we wanted it to be in 2020. And do you know, I didn't follow it closely enough last year. What was it like in last year for the Combine? Was it more normal?
I think
expected.
I think they got it back to somewhat normal. I'm sure it was still kind of limited in terms of what was there. I mean, you had all the draft scouts and whatnot, but I think this year now, because like I said, they do have fans come in sometimes. I think we'll get kind of more of that this season or this upcoming week with just more fan interaction. I think last year they just primarily had coaches and whatnot and scouts. So I think this year we might get some more fan involvement, which you'd love to see, right? We're having the world open up a little bit more. And I think that we're going to get back to maybe not 100% of what the Combine was back in 2015, 16, etc. But I think that with the Combine, right, it's about a week long. It goes from March 1st to March 7th. So the whole week pretty much. And we're going to see a lot of really good prospects, man. It's going to be exciting to watch. There's tons of content to consume with the Combine this week, man. It's going to be fun to watch.
Absolutely. For everybody watching, please tell us, are you going to watch the Combine? Are you looking forward to seeing what Max Mitchell will do in the Combine? We want to hear from you. So put in the comments, what do you think is going to happen? And just throw in the comments what you think is going to happen in the Combine, even not with this young man, but if any of the people coming through. And then maybe a little, maybe tomorrow, Logan, we could post something on our YouTube and ask some questions about Combine as well. So yeah, look out. Yeah, so look out on our YouTube and look out on our various channels. Interact even more about the combine. And if you're watching us live, thank you so much. But if you're listening to us on our podcast, thank you again. Our podcast is just every time I go back and look at the numbers and look at how we're doing, I get so excited. Everyone's, from the Believe Podcast Network, they send us emails every week telling us all about what we've got going on. We're so thankful to them for hosting us and having us, keeping us going every single week. And, so thankful to you as well, Mr. Logan Landers, for the amount of work that you do in the background to make sure that our podcast comes up and is out there for all of our audience every single week. That's just incredible work. So go over to Spotify, go over to Apple Podcast, Amazon, Overcast, anywhere that you love listening to podcasts, even your home device. You can say, hey, play 100 Yards of Football podcast, and it works. I've tried it out plenty of times. And so anywhere that you listen, come and listen to the podcast. Tell us what you think. If you're on Apple Podcasts, leave us a review and let us know what you think. It can be very simple. It can just be like, hey guys, I'm listening to the show. I like it. That's cool for us. It helps us every single time to get higher and higher in those Apple algorithms so that we can continue to bring you all the amazing, incredible adventures in sports broadcasting that we do every week, including NFL draft prospects, legends interviews, interviews with former players, all of the coverage when we start getting closer to football, live games again. And then, of course, we're covering college and NFL. So there's incredible things to talk about over the next few weeks and months. So thank you so much for watching. I am your producer, Jeremiah Long, and this is our host, Logan Landers. We've been talking about Max Mitchell, the Louisiana Raging Cajun, on our draft prospect special. Stay with us for another live episode coming.